100 business leaders that were polled, a whopping 39% said that they don't want to hire recent grads. And they gave a lot of reasons for this. They said that Gen Z doesn't make eye contact during interviews.
You can't expect a 22-year-old to be the same as a 40-year-old.
.org surveyed 1,000 hiring managers and found out a lot of these hiring managers aren't here for new grads and don't want to hire them.
They also know if you don't get your way, they might end up on TikTok.
The whole like, oh, younger applicants are not as experienced, blah, 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 blah. I bet in every single corporate building, you can find a useless 50-year-old who can't even find a home button on her.
I am a catch. It has never been this difficult. Excuse me? The years that I spent in customer service, the years that I spent doing clerical work, administrative work, and you mean to tell me that my black ass can't find a job? I'm an artist, baby. I have to pay the bills some kind of way. Because I don't have a job, of course I'm gonna be on here because you might as well help your dreams come true while you're unemployed. I'm convinced they're not hiring us black women. They're not. Look, check the stats, bro. They're not hiring us. I'm to the point where I'm just like, man, I'm finna just check off that white box. I'm gonna check off that Native American. Yes, I'm a part of a tribe. Does that mean you're gonna hire me?
No.
Yes, I have a disability. Well,
No more DEI.
I don't know.
No more DEI.
Sorry.
I speak about this all the time. In my consultations, I talk about why this is happening. A lot of them have no idea they're competing with the entire market on a world scale. Yes, I said it. On a world scale. I show guys. I physically show guys where the money's going. Like right now, right? I know Filipino companies that went from 0 to 3 million in 3 years doing customer service work. 0 to 3 million in 3 years. Right now, I have PayPal. I use PayPal. I know Filipinos that are working for PayPal doing customer service. They're not hiring Americans that much anymore. They do still have Americans, but not as much. Why are they hiring Filipinos? Because outsourcing is cheaper. If somebody needs somebody to do sales, do you think they want somebody who doesn't have experience? Or do you think they would rather get a person like me who's been doing sales since 1999? Yes, since the 19th century, I've been doing sales. And I'm what, 44? But they see me and go, oh, wow, this guy's still young. He's still a whippersnapper. I want him. They're not going to hire you. They're going to pass you up because your degree doesn't equal me. Your degree doesn't equal that Filipino. Y'all going to learn today. I'm telling you, competition, even with ladies. You compete with the Filipino. Hold up. My wife's a Filipino. So you're competing with Filipinas on the dating market. Also, you're competing with Filipinos in the job market. Woo! Winner. I told y'all I'm the Iceman. It's getting real. It's getting cold.
I have to get on here and rant about this because now it's gone too far. Like, the hiring market is just absolutely horrible. And then I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see this hiring manager talking about how every time she sees a recent grad or a young applicant, she throws out their application or she throws out their resume right away. First of all, as a recent grad myself, and I'm 23, I'm gonna tell you right now, I already know that these hiring managers, they have it out for us young people. They do. And I find it so crazy because it's like, why are y'all trying to pay younger people less when we have a more expensive economy to deal with? Literally. Our grandparents were able to get mortgages for like $600. Literally. I got coworkers who are literally, their bills are like $500 in a mortgage. Whole time, us young people were handed an economy where rent is basically $2,000 or more. This is what I'm saying. Why are you trying to pay us less when we have more bills to deal with? And then the whole like, oh, younger applicants are not as experienced, blah, 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 blah. Shut up, bro, because listen, it's 2025. It is 2025. 2025. Okay? We run on technology in this world. Everything runs on technology. But guess what? I bet in every single corporate building, you can find a useless 50-year-old who can't even find a home button on her. But she deserves the job more than me because she's older. What? Like, do you know how many jobs I've worked at where I basically had to.
But no, that older woman, what she doesn't understand, you can tell her to do something and she'll understand how to do it right away. It's like it's second nature to her. You're no competition even to that old lady. But let me let you finish.
Do other people's job for them because they didn't know how to use technology. Like, I actually had to realize it's a skill to be able to go on a website and be able to navigate it and find what you're looking for without an instruction manual. That's a skill. And you trust me, there are so many people who literally, they cannot do that. They cannot do that. No amount of school could help them either. And their years on this earth clearly didn't help them because it's the older people who struggle the most with this. So this is what I'm saying. It's like, I feel like younger people are under attack, and it's all just crazy to me. It's like, for what though? Like, a high key, like, for what though?
No discipline, no morals. You have to understand, even the way you're acting right now. See, also, what you're doing right now, a job market can see that. You do know that, right? You do know they have face recognition, technology, the best. All these hiring companies have it. Like these HR companies, now they're adopting AI. They can use AI to scour the entire internet. They get your picture, you give your ID, they take your ID picture, scour the internet. They have AI systems for that. Did you know that? I bet you they didn't know that. They didn't know. And they scour the internet and say, she's complaining about not getting hired. Get out of here, Lakeisha. Bye-bye, Lakeisha. No hiring for you, Lakeisha. That's what's happening. I made a video about this a year ago. Welcome to the future. And it's happening now. Modern woman, your time has come.
Every time she sees a recent grad or a young applicant, she throws out their application or she throws out their resume right away.
Gen Z, y'all know too much. You know to give them as minimum as they give you. They also know if you don't get your way, they might end up on TikTok.
Real talk alert.
I'm seeing at the mid-level people on their third career. I'm like, why are you here? So it is almost like a reverse ageism that's happening now. If they can get that level of talent, out of experience for pennies on the dollar. So recent grads, y'all might have to just thug it out, see if you can find some internships. For those of you still in college, internships is where you build your resume and really start getting a leg into some of these companies.
I think a lot of them need to hit the ground running. Seriously. I'm going through that with my son right now, teaching him discipline, teaching him not to be a scroller, trying to teach him to do more than you say. Because this generation likes saying more than they do. Once you start doing more than you say and doing more than you scroll, we're in the ADHD generation. Everyone grew up with cell phones. Do you know how many Gen Z people have ADHD? I use the cell phone for creating. I use the cell phone for checking YouTube, also for doing more. I have Leonardo on my cell phone, like the AI things I used to put in some of the videos. I do that on my cell phone. I have 2 AI programs. I have another program that I have for also creating videos for B-roll footage. Everything I have on my cell phone is for creation. I can list a bunch of apps all for creating. These kids scroll and have these apps for fun. It's different.
Resume.org surveyed 1,000 hiring managers and found out a lot of these hiring managers aren't here for new grads and don't want to hire them. They think they're entitled, on their phone too much, and just all around unprofessional. 8 out of 10 hiring managers said that recent grads haven't worked out at their company over the past year due to lack of motivation and entitlement. Hiring managers go on to complain about a bunch of other things in this article. But the main thing that stands out for me is that only 58% of companies say they plan to hire from the class of 2025 because they don't believe universities are prepping students for a professional working environment. Now listen, while I believe there are some truths here, I'm not understanding how all of these bad new grads are getting past the door. If they're not professional and if they haven't learned any professional skills, how are they getting through the interview?
You see what she's saying right now? I'm going to let her finish. But you see what she's saying and you see what I'm saying? It doesn't come from school. It's going to have to come from the parents, from parents with know-how. And, that's usually the top 10% of parents. Why? Because the rich are the people who do this. But the rich, what I'm teaching my son is not to have a job. I'm teaching my son to employ people. I teach people to employ people. So, of course, I'm teaching that to my son. Why would I want him to be a worker when he can control the workers? That's what I teach. I teach that. Now, I teach people how to hire others to do work for them. I teach people how to motivate, keep people motivated. The same tricks that were used on me when I was an employee, I teach how to do that to others. And I teach how to do it all tax-free, right? How to pay less taxes by doing all of that. How to include, I teach it all because a lot of people need to know it all. Why? Because they don't teach this to my skin color. They don't teach this in college. The things that I know, the things that I found out later in years, they don't teach. You can't learn this in it. You can't get a degree for this.
Process. Now, even though, like I said, I see both sides, let's not sit here and act like these hiring managers and these leaders aren't looking to overwork and underpay new grads. Now, can younger people be indifferent and on their phones a lot at work? Yes. But here's what I've found out. It's not because they're not doing their jobs. It's because they've found efficient ways to do their job. So they're bored. I've seen it with my own 4 eyes. And some of these professionals don't like change and they don't like to be outsmarted. So if you're in leadership, ask yourself why you really don't like some of these new grads. Because I'll be real with you, I haven't had a problem with any new grads. I haven't had a problem with them being unprofessional, dressing unprofessionally, acting unprofessional. I haven't had any issues, so I just don't understand why so many hiring managers are having a problem with new grads. If you're going through the hiring process correctly the first time, then you're going to get who you want. I'd also be curious to see who's taking these surveys because I have a feeling that there are probably some mean boomers from LinkedIn.
It's sad, man. It's so sad because this generation is listening to people like her. You ever heard of too smart for your own good? Yeah, in this generation, we have a lot of people that are too smart for their own good. I speak to people all the time and they talk more than they listen. What is that? Too smart for your own good. You can't learn when you're doing this.
1 in 4 hiring managers are saying that grads are unprepared for the workforce and that they are planning to avoid hiring them in 2025. And this is not a knock on Gen Z. Gen Z as a whole has more jobs, is more employed than previous generations. This is not a work ethic problem. This is specifically a college expectation problem. Colleges sell a 6-figure product in bankruptcy exempt debt to 17-year-old children, and then they tell them that they are going to make $100,000 coming out of college. There is something called a reality gap. When kids come out of college, they believe they're going to make way more than they're actually going to make. I think this is because of 2 reasons. 1, they believe that buying something that expensive is going to return the investment that they are making, and it's going to get them a higher salary, and they are expecting something much higher than the market available wage. And the second reason is because I believe the people who teach them have no idea what the market looks like, because very few professors have ever worked outside of academia. And this includes STEM professors and business professors. It's very rare to find people that have actually worked in the industry that you're going into. And if they have, it was decades ago. So colleges teach college graduates to expect a much higher wage than they are actually going to command in the market. But they don't prepare them at all for going into work. And that is exactly what hiring managers are saying. And I can hear people already in the comments going, oh, well, it's just, there's just a bias against college graduates. Every single one of these hiring managers has a bachelor's degree or higher. So they are people who have been through the system, and they are saying that the quality of graduates that they are getting is not up to standard. And that is a very real thing that parents need to consider if they're about to pay the NCES $108,000 on average for a bachelor's degree. This is something that at this point is becoming more of a red flag on an application than a green flag. And I also want to clarify, I am talking about the 92.3% of jobs that do not legally require a college degree. If your child is going to be a professional engineer, is going to be a CPA, is going to be a JD, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to everybody else. I'm talking to everybody else who's going into business, who's going into kinesiology, who's studying things that do not legally require a college degree to do. And they should be just going to look for entry-level work instead of shelling out $100,000 to have an institution teach them unrealistic expectation, ruin their attitude before they get employed. Because when your child is young and they are applying for entry-level work, and this includes 18 to probably 24 years old, somewhere in that range, their attitude is the most valuable thing that they have. The study also found the root cause of this, I believe, which is that 55% of these hiring managers had to fire a recent Gen Z college graduate in 2024. And when you get burned like that as a business, because hiring and firing is extremely expensive and costly to your business, you will avoid hiring a demographic that has burned you in that way. I believe the entire responsibility of this rests on the colleges.
Earlier today, Business Insider dropped an article where they discussed all of the reasons that employers do not want to hire Gen Z employees. So let's talk about it. Now, the headline of this article made me think that this entire article was going to be about Gen Z bringing their parents to job interviews and that being problematic. Which it is. Do not bring your parents to your job interview. But honestly, the whole bringing your parents to a job interview thing is barely featured in this article. Of the 800 business leaders that were polled, a whopping 39% said that they don't want to hire recent grads. And they gave a lot of reasons for this. They said that Gen Z doesn't make eye contact during interviews. They said that Gen Z doesn't dress appropriately during job interviews. They said that Gen Z has unrealistic salary expectations. And then they also did say that Gen Z sometimes brings their parents to job interviews. The article goes on to say that employers are under the impression that Gen Z is difficult to work with, very easily offended, hard to communicate with, and that they don't take feedback well. And now some major firms are trying to address this by providing business etiquette courses for Gen Z candidates. Now, I think a lot of the employers in this article are unfairly throwing Gen Z under the bus, and I'll tell you why. I started seeing companies slow down or completely freeze recent grad hiring all the way back in 2016, and it has steadily gotten worse since then. Even intern hiring has slowed down pretty significantly. And it's not because suddenly young people are very difficult to work with. It's because companies have decided that they no longer want to spend time or resources on training new talent. This is why you'll see entry-level roles looking for a candidate with 3 to 5 years of experience. Companies now want to hire employees that can be dropped into a role and immediately start working without any additional training. Also, the job market has been terrible for the last year and a half. A lot of very senior talent is being forced to take entry-level work because it's the only work that they can find right now, and a lot of employers know this. So they don't feel the need to hire a fresh grad when there's someone else with 7 years of experience willing to take that same job.
Real talk.
I also don't like that this article is heavily implying that the reason that employers don't want to hire Gen Z talent is because Gen Z is starting to set boundaries at work in the way that older generations haven't. Even if this is actually a reason that employers don't want to hire recent grads, it's not a reason that we should be celebrating. Setting boundaries at work is a good thing, and it's something that more of us should be doing. So yeah, I think it's completely unfair to blame a lack of entry-level roles on Gen Z. If companies don't want to hire entry-level talent because of the money, then that's fine, but they should own it instead of blaming it on recent grads. And yeah, again, do not bring your parents to a job interview.
Something that we need to talk about. Because look at this. It says, there isn't a single cutoff who counts as rich in the U.S., but we can look at income and wealth to understand what share of Americans would generally be considered rich. These are the people that understand it without going to college. So only about 10% of Americans have a net worth above roughly 1.6 million plus. The top 5%, 1 million net worth, The top 2%, 5.5 million or more, or more net worth. The top 2% about 5.5 million or more net worth. The top 1% are those with the highest wealth that hold around 30% of U.S. household wealth, but only make up to 1% of the population. By income, to be in the top 10% of income earners in the U.S., you generally need to make at least 6 figures per year. The top 5% and top 1% of income earners have even higher thresholds, often around several $100,000 to over $500,000 a year, depending on the source and year. Around 10% of Americans might be considered rich by wealth above 90 percentile. This is all by the Census Bureau, all by Yahoo. You see the Census Bureau, Yahoo Finance, Wikipedia. So I got some ChatGPT and it's accurate. But this is the problem. People are not taught this in college. You have people out there paying $100,000 to go to college. And then you have people right now paying me $100. I repeat, $100 to make more than they would ever make going to college. I show how people are not hiring entitled people, entitled Gen Z, entitled Black women, the most college educated, and they would rather hire people with experience. I show people how Indian guys are top rated and get the jobs. Filipinas, guys from Spain. This is a global market. And let me tell you why people are hiring them. This is what's happening. But they're not going to tell you. People are hiring these people because it's less money. But don't sleep. Because when you work online, I repeat, when you work online, these people are getting $10 a job. They're getting $70 a job. They're getting $100 a job. Sometimes they may get $20 a job. Sometimes they may get $5 per hour a job. You have people at all levels, but they pay higher for more experience, right? So back in 2000, what was it? I started working online in 2013. That was the big shift. Let me talk my stuff real quick, right? Because I saw the retirement money was gone. What do I mean by that? All of the baby boomers got most of the retirement money. I knew I wasn't going to get it that. And plus, I'm such a hard worker, I'm not even looking to retire because I enjoy what I do, right? I finally figured out what to do. Actually, I figured it out a long time ago. I've been doing this for a while. But I figured out what to do and how to do it. So I teach it now because a lot of guys need to know. I want you to keep working. I teach guys how to work, but to your own advantage. Pretty much work when you want to work. If you want to take an offer, you can take it. Right now, I haven't taken a job since 2023. I literally show people when they book my consultation. I have people trying to hire me right now that I didn't even respond to. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because you got people out there struggling and then they knocking on my door. Hey, come work for me. Come work for me. Come work for me. Why? They see the experience. And I teach guys how to get that experience from day one. Also, I teach guys how not to work and how to hire people with the experience and control that from day one. I show guys how to get it in all ways. You can either work or be the boss. Choose one.
After a job interview because the company did not like her Gen Z traits. A TikToker interviewed for a job and thought that she was a shoo-in because she had actually worked with the department before and said that she excelled at her work while she was there. She felt great after the interview but never heard back from them even after following up a couple times. In fact, she didn't receive an answer about her application status until she bumped into the hiring manager in an elevator. The manager let her know that she was too honest in the interview. She had shared details about her social media presence and provided insight into a medical condition that she has. The manager said that, to be frank with you, I think it's a Gen Z problem. It's all about perception. It's all about optics. The hiring manager even encouraged her to make up a 5-year plan on the spot, because having no plan shows that you're, quote, no good for commitment. AKA, they want to hire employees who will have full undying commitment for the lowest wage. Duh. this manager knows that she's a good worker with a solid resume. Employers claim that Gen Zers lack professionalism and motivation because they believe that they are entitled and lack a work ethic. In fact, a survey by Intelligence showed that 1 in 6 companies are reluctant to hire somebody in their 20s. And just maybe this perceived lack of work ethic comes from the fact that wealth inequality in the United States has been on a constant increase since the 70s. And the newer workforce is not disillusioned into thinking that they will actually get anything from undying loyalty to a company. Pensions are a thing of the past and wages are stagnant. This is not some cultural attitude shift between generations. This is about class dynamics. So Gen Z, being the newest generation to hit the workforce, is not interested in maintaining an image of company loyalty, when now more than ever the working class is struggling to pay rent and buy groceries. Because companies aren't paying good wages, landlord conglomerates are buying up all the housing, and grocery stores are gouging their prices to the moon. Perception and optics are ridiculous reasons not to hire somebody for a job. So maybe these managers should be a bit more honest in telling their candidates that they will rather hire somebody that will sit down, shut up, and take a smaller paycheck than what you're asking for.
Yeah, I think they need to tell them that, because that's literally what's happening. And the manager needs to say, hey, look, you either take this or bye-bye. They should see that, but they don't have to, right? This is what needs to happen. People need to figure out a way to get on top. What do I mean by that? I've been talking about it the whole video. I literally teach this.
You guys all do the same exact thing and then act surprised when you don't get results. Look, I'm not here to hate on anybody, bro. I'm here to help y'all out.
That's what he said.
And I think because my tone is so intense, y'all think I'm trying to bash y'all. I'm trying to help y'all out and realize why you may be stuck. The first thing y'all need to understand is that AI is literally controlling all of this right now. There are AI filters that is going to filter out 80% of all job applications. The second thing is, how do you think you're going to get a job when everybody is applying through using the same means? Everybody's on Indeed, everybody's on LinkedIn. You have to start thinking of unconventional ways to get hired.
Watch this.
Like, bro, let's say I'm going to pick something random. Let's say I worked in archaeology, right? Whatever the hell that is, paleontology, some shit like that, right? Bro, what I would be doing is working a job at like Burger King or like anywhere, nowhere special. And I would be saving my money for plane tickets, bro. I would find every single paleontologist seminar, meetup, in-person event that exists. And every time I go to these events, I would explain, hey, I'm an archaeologist major, paleontologist major, and I'm really looking to get into the field and I'm having trouble finding a job. You guys need to understand that everything is not on the internet. It seems like everything is just supposed to be cut and dry. You apply to a job and get hired. No, bro, there's different ways to do the same exact thing. There's different ways to get into a field. Another thing is that some of y'all are location locked and you guys are location dependent. If you really want to maximize your chances of getting hired in whatever field you went to school for, you have to be open to moving to a different place. It could be all the way across the country.
Even Kevin Samuels said this.
Especially people that are in competitive markets like San Francisco, New York, Chicago, things like that. You have to be willing to move somewhere. It could be somewhere you don't want to be at. But to gain the necessary experience, you might got to go out to Kansas for a year or two and take the entry-level job. If it's paying enough and it makes sense for your situation and you're young, why not? I want y'all to understand, bro, I'm on y'all side. Y'all could call me being angry, I'm an unk or whatever. Look, I'm here to help y'all out, bro. Don't get it twisted.
Wow. But he's right, though. And what is he doing? Thinking outside of the box. When I left the job market, I had to start thinking outside of the box. So what did I start doing? I literally started trying different things. I did. And when you're young, you have to keep trying different things. See, what happens is a lot of people, look, the New Year's just came. If you're young, you need to try. Try something. Try anything. I speak to guys all the time. Some guys' dreams are so minuscule because they set their dreams too low. Set your dreams here. Because you know what happened? I'm the kind of guy, I got so many, it's funny because everything that I want is starting to come true because I go get it. What he's talking about is going to get it, not waiting around for it. This generation has been is lazy that way because they don't think outside the box. What he's talking about, he said going to different things. You know what's wild? I get offered opportunities all the time to do sales at different events. So I always knew that was the way. And I know the economy is hard right now on people. As you see, some people from Gen Z stated earlier in the video, it's hard. That was one of my main reasons for moving. It was for my wife. I wanted something feminine and delicate. Also, it was for the cost of living. I know if I was somewhere where cost of living was better, I can take risks and take chances with the rest of my money. So could you imagine when you're only paying $450? Pretty soon I'm going to be paying $200 a month for rent. What you can do, the amount of businesses you can start. I'm talking about business on top of business on top of business. Any idea that comes to your head. I'm in Vietnam right now to search out clothing. I know a lot of people didn't realize. Look it up. Vietnam is one of the tailor capitals of the world. They make Hugo Boss. They make Nike. They make New Balance. I just got a pair of New Balances for $20. Got my wife a pair of New Balances for $20 over here in Vietnam. Do you know what I can do I can take those New Balances, ship them somewhere. Think about it. Guys are not just, well, some guys are just traveling for the ladies. No, it ain't about that for me. I'm traveling for the munya. Come get some munya.
Employers, please do not hold employees who are fresh out of school, high school, or college to the same standard you would hold someone who has been in the industry for 10 to 20 years. First of all, it's not fair. It's not fair to the younger employee, nor to the older employees for that matter. And second of all, it's just not nice. I speak from personal experience. First of all, you can't expect a 22-year-old to be the same as a 40-year-old. The 22-year-old is doing the best he or she can with very limited experience. Not only that, but it can affect their confidence levels. If you have a manager or a boss just putting you down and saying, why can't you do this, or why can't you be as good as this person who's been here since 2010, it's just, it gets to them. It really does. Now, I'm not talking about an employee who is always late, very incompetent, slacks off. I'm not talking about someone like that, and they do exist. By all means, fire that person. But I'm talking about someone who is willing to learn, who wants to get the job done, but maybe is a little awkward at first. You're going to have to take a little extra time with that person. Just keep that in mind.
You know, these ladies, these people don't understand, not just ladies. They don't have to do anything. That's what the young generation is going to have to understand. Look, you want to be a slave? You need to be a slave. You know, that's what work for somebody is, right? Being a slave. You have good slave masters and bad ones. Then, you know what you also have? You have those rebellious slaves. You have like the Kunta Kinte slave. Kunta Kinte was the good slave. But you have the Kunta Kintes and the African warrior slaves, right? That throw spears. You don't want that guy as your employee. That's what Gen Z's like. Gen Z's like the African warrior. No, don't hire him. Get Kunta Kinte. Yes, sir, boss. And I hate to do it. Look, I got to do it though, because I'm giving an analogy. Everybody knows black people were slaves. Now, this is facts. That's what they don't want. They want Kunta Kinte, not the African warrior.
So I seen this lady in here talking about why some employers don't hire Gen Z. She was listening to different reasons why, and the reasons were valid. I can't lie, they were valid until she said it. If they request time off and you don't approve it, they gonna take off anyway. Yeah, because when I request off, I'm not even checking the schedule to see if you schedule me, because I told you I'm not coming.
Let's give the real reason why a lot of individuals don't like hiring Jay-Z, Generation G. It's because a lot of them won't allow you to treat them the way you used to treat your other employees, your older employees. Millennials and older, you guys were able to talk to them crazy, pay them nothing, don't care about their mental well-being or, you know what I'm saying, well-being at all, physically or mentally, right? And then on top of that, take away things from them and expect them to still give you the same level of productivity moving forward. Let's just leave that as that. Then you took away pensions, you took away... Let's make it make sense. Like, you have these jobs that are mentally and emotionally and psychologically taxing, and you don't want to allow people to have the mental wellness days because you complain and go, they're never available. They take days off. You give people unlimited PTO, expecting them not to use the PTO and then get upset when they use the PTO. Then you make erroneous reasons to write people up because they use their PTO in the first place. The problem is that you, the old oligarchies of the workspace, don't want to adapt to the new work time space of what it is now. People do not want to slave at work all the time. And when they don't feel it mentally to come in, check in, they should be able to take that sick day or that day off to readjust themselves and recalibrate themselves so that they can come to work functioning at 100%. Y'all don't care. Y'all just want a body there doing your job without caring and realizing that their minds are not okay. Their bodies are not okay. I've had people not go to see doctor visits, not have blood work done for years on end because of a job. They will put their risk of their lives at jeopardy for a job that will replace you in 20 minutes. Your body wouldn't be cold and there will already be a job posting with your position. Your desk will be cleared out before the end of today. So yeah, that is the real reason why they don't like hiring JC and younger millennials. Let's just keep that honest. Like, share, comment.
Yeah, it's never going to change. In order to change the workforce, you have to get out of it. See, what's happening in America, I explain it to guys when they talk with me. You're living in the matrix. Literally, when you step outside of the workforce, step outside of everything happening, get married, live life right, you go, wow, I see why Jay's in so much peace. I don't look like it because, I'm extra. I know I come across extra to you guys, but I'm really at so much peace. I'm so peaceful. And the reason why is because I don't have to worry about the unnecessary stress. And I do so much. I got to tell you guys this. I knew the pensions weren't there. I knew that wasn't the way I was gonna be able to go out. And so back around 2020 to 2012, I said I need to remove myself out of the workforce and work for myself. And that's what I started doing when I started freelancing. I started working for myself. That's what it is when you freelance. You work for yourself. You're working online. You work for yourself. But I've been employed ever since 2013, working for myself, right? And that brought me over to the Philippines in 2015. So I don't just talk about this for my health. I had the proof. I show it. I show my experience, guys, wow, yeah, Jay really been working all these years online. Guys get surprised, well, yeah, see, he had that job in 2015 and he was doing this, and I show it. I show the proof. Book your consultation today. Link down in the description. Also, you'll see my link in the comments as well. Get in touch with me. I got packages that's well under 250, well under 200, even well under 125. While people going to college paying thousands. And I teach guys the tax laws, how to not pay taxes. I teach guys also, that's the $25. I teach guys how to have people work for them for under $125. I teach guys how to work for themselves for under $100. You can get them all under $250. Hiring people to work for you, work for yourself, and doing your taxes right. Go to college for what?
The Iceman is coming!
Winter is here.